Right, this isn't a hangout with the International Full Swap timeline. It's let me explain. A while ago I watched the documentary What the Maid Saw, which is a 60-minute special about one of the maids who worked with Michael Jackson, Adrian McManus. I sent a review of it to International Movie Database and it was rejected. I think it's been rejected twice. Like they used to, if you had a review rejected, it used to be listed, but now they just don't publish. I'm not going to read it. Well, I'll read it verbatim. I gave it 3 out of 10 initially, but I've just been watching it again and doing some research into the background, and I think it deserves a lot more than that, because although it's called What the Maid Saw, it doesn't accept what she claims uncritically, and to do that it would have to be schizophrenic, because she says one thing, she admits she lied at Jackson's trial, and then she comes up with all this flim flam about he threatened her, and when asked about the acquittal, she said celebrities can do no wrong. We'll tell that to Rolf Harris, tell it to Robert Hughes, the Australian soap opera actor, tell it to the late Max Clifford. So this documentary isn't as bad as I thought it was initially. I've actually watched it more or less 2 and a bit times, nearly 3 times. What does really annoy me is the censorship that's been creeping censorship, which is actually obviously if you've been following this cancel culture garbage and this hysteria with Black Lives Matter and associated movements, and the shadow banning that's been going on, the hate campaign against Donald Trump. Sorry about the creaking. Always happens. That was creaking desk. It isn't a new thing, but I've had some reviews pulled. I think I've had some. Well, I definitely had one pulled from IMDb. Yes, I think it's nasty little men and women, mostly women, and the ADL spend their every waking hour reading reviews and watching videos and reading articles, looking for some pretext to smear them as whatever, racist, sexist, homophobic, inappropriate, and some pretext to smear them as whatever, some websites. Anyway, Michael Jackson was super weird. Who will dispute that claim? Creepy? He certainly came over that way in that disastrous Martin Bashir documentary. Incidentally, Martin Bashir also came under fire for the way he deceived Diana, Princess of Wales. But was he a paedophile? His lawyer Tom Mesereau, who appears in this hit piece, thinks not. No, not. I mean, if I'd been in charge of 60 Minutes, I wouldn't have interviewed this woman. But I don't think you can call it a hit piece. There were grounds for recording this documentary because of as will become clear soon. At Jackson's criminal trial, he put Macaulay Culkin and Wade Robson on the stand. Both testified that Jackson had never sexually abused them. Mesereau would have had to have been insane to do that, had he a nanogram of doubt about the innocence of his client, and Jackson would have been equally insane to let him. Wade Robson defended Jackson after his death. It's after Jackson's death, after Wade Robson's. Culkin continues to do so. But in 2013, Robson did an about-face So what credibility should he be given here? How about -1 on a scale of 0 to 10? Robson is of course far from the only person who has betrayed Jackson now that he's unable to defend himself. According to Jackson's maid, the prime subject here, there was lots of Vaseline in his apartment. Seriously? And how come none of that was found by Tom Snedden and his team of 70 deputies when they searched the place with a fine-tooth comb? Snedden moved hell and high water to convict Jackson. He failed to do so. So does 60 Minutes. I've said 60 Minutes throughout. I should say 60 Minutes Australia. Isn't quite the same outfit. The main reason I'm making this video isn't because simply because the reviews rejected, but the other day I watched a documentary called National Treasure, National Disgrace, which discussed Gary Glitter, Stuart Hall, Rolf Harris and the late Jimmy Savile. I've no doubt this documentary will fool a lot of people, but you have two guilty men here. There's Gary Glitter, who is of course an appalling human being, Stuart Hall, who was doing things he didn't ought to have been doing, Rolf, who was almost certainly just foolish, and Savile, who we are told is the most prolific serial groper and occasional rapist, occasional serial rapist these islands ever produced. I'll put a link below to my review of this programme, this documentary. The lesson to take from it is that any allegation of historicity must be regarded with some suspicion. If you check out the International Force Rape Timeline, there were two cases on there I allude to regularly about this. There was the case of Andrew Bond, who was falsely accused of raping a woman with whom he had sex, consensual sex, at his apartment. And there's a bloke named Dawes, Daws, who had sex with a young woman in his parents' bed. These were cases which were reported promptly, and they were both lies. They were undone in quite spectacular fashion. Bond was cleared by a CCTV camera in an elevator, and Dawes was cleared by a truly spectacular job by the boys in hazmat suits. If you have allegations of any historicity, the forensic evidence isn't there. We come down to she said, he said. She claims, he denies. Why would a woman lie? Anyway, check out the International Force Rape Timeline. There's an entry for Michael, dedicated entry for Michael Jackson. Doesn't cover all the allegations against him, but there's the plethora of allegations, and far more against the late Jimmy Savile. And before you fall for any of this garbage about trauma, check out the entry for rape trauma syndrome, the child sexual abuse accommodation syndrome, and these claims of tonic immobility, and of course alcohol. Always very often a factor in false allegations of rape.